So my name is Tamak Weber. I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Gateway FM. We do the dirty job of building infrastructure in the crypto space. Yeah, that's a little bit about myself. I've been in tech for many years, roughly around 20 plus years. Came from traditional infrastructure, working in telecommunications for a number of years. After that, I moved to a browser company called Opera, based out of Norway. Spent there almost a decade. That's how I got beloved into the Web3 crypto space, and then eventually decided to become a solo operator and co-founded Gateway FM. But building this new internet Web3 layer on public cloud alone seems to be kind of a very risky endeavor, and that's really what we try to do at Gateway. We consider ourselves to be the first truly decentralized blockchain infrastructure node provider. And we do that by actually building our own, you could say, AWS software stack that doesn't just rely on public cloud, but actually it's fully portable. And we take that to the next level where we actually work with independent data center providers. So we don't rely on public cloud. So it's a very different way of doing it in terms of really staying within the ethos of Web3 to really decentralize at the core layer of the infrastructure, the actual data centers, which again, if you look at this space today, most of the providers you mentioned today are using AWS services, mainly out of the US. We have what we call, autoscaler, and we do that by, it gets a bit technical, but we have different proxies. So the RPC, the nodes are actually in the back, and we create this pool of nodes, right, in different locations. So we have different nodes, and those nodes connect to a proxy, and the proxy does the load balancing. So we see requirements of additional traffic. We could actually divert traffic to other regions in order to, ingest the request per second. And I could be pretty specific, again, not to shill here, but we work with pretty large DeFi protocols like 1inch. We work with them quite heavily, and they have a lot of traffic, and this is pretty consistent traffic. We're talking about billions of calls per month, and this is very heavy traffic. And we had this situation where they opened the floodgates, and we had to divert traffic from one kind of pool location to add additional nodes, what we call external nodes, in order to scale the traffic. So this is definitely, as you said, I mean, the issue with blockchain is very unpredictable traffic. It's not something that, you have this, okay, this is kind of the RPS that you have, requests per second. It's a very spiky type traffic. It depends on a region to region basis, and you always have to be ready. So normally, of course, we look at having the possibility to ingest traffic per region, but if we need to, we could always deploy additional nodes in other regions to absorb the traffic. There could be a little bit of delay in terms of the response time, but at least you're not getting this, out of traffic situation, which is the most critical. The privacy of the data that you're providing. I mean, if you look at the space today, as a developer, maybe you don't care too much if you connect and you get some free RPC from somewhere, but you don't know where that traffic is going and who's monitoring that traffic. You're exposing all of that traffic that maybe you're developing. But if you're like a pretty large DeFi protocol or DEX or somebody that cares about where the traffic is going, you have to be a bit careful, and you should know your provider, right? You should know where that traffic is going. So we do a number of things. First is when we work with the partners, we secure that we're very close to where the requirement of the traffic is coming from. So normally that lowers the latency of the traffic. So that's normally one requirement for larger DEXs. The other part is actually, it's more in relation of the method calls. So we block certain amount of method calls to avoid DDoS or malicious type transactions. And only we will open that particular method call if the client requests. So we take the approach of be safe first, and then allow flexibility, because we've seen malicious things happening if you just open all the method calls, and there's a lot of hacking happening through that process. It's like the foundational pillar of where we try to build all these decentralized applications, and these things cost money. At the end of the day, they will only be subsidized for some period of time. So, we walk away from a lot of business that doesn't pay for the services that we provide. So we say, hey, we do things a bit differently. We provide best-in-class support, but it will cost you some money. At the same time, we provide a very generous, free public RPC, no questions asked. Like we don't even ask you to provide an email sign-on. So you just go to our website, you copy the URL, and there you go. You have a pretty juicy RPC endpoint with no questions asked.
Ultimate word. You said AWS earlier. How does Gateway keeps its RPC services aligned with the decentralized ethos?
So as I indicated, we work with independent data center providers, and trust me, this is not an easy task. AWS is very simple. You set up an account, you go there, you get your services, you have all the tools, ding and whistles, you just pay the bill every month and you're good to go, right? No questions asked. Normally things work pretty well. So we decided to go towards this completely opposite direction to say, okay, let me go and do a contract with a private data center. And that part is quite painful because they don't understand about any services behind blockchain. They just think that we're just another Web2 server. It's like, no, we're not. We're actually a blockchain. The requirements are very, very different towards the traditional Web2 services. In particular, when you do RPC, you need massive data structure. So you need a lot of hard disks. You need very performant hard disks, a lot of IOPS. You need very scalable things, what we discussed before, right? Like if you get this massive peak of traffic, how do they manage that? Because normally, when you work with AWS, there's unlimited resources. With private data centers, that is not the case. So we spent the last part of the last 2 years really educating a number of data center providers. And it's super exciting because they get so excited about this technology and they want to learn more. They want to come closer to the technology in order to provide the proper services, but it does require time. And that's, I think, one of the problems that I see in the space, that we're just too lazy. It's like, yeah, who cares? Let me just deploy in AWS and it's going to be great. We need to educate all of the industry, right? It's not just educate the degens, like we need to really spend some time on educating the industry of the value of this technology. And with the value also comes this complexity. So as I indicated, we spent considerable amount of time with independent data center providers. And now those data center providers are, you could say a little bit more expert in terms of blockchain. So they themselves could go to other projects and say, hey, we could help you. We understand a little bit more about blockchain. We provide services that are tailored more towards your requirements. So that's a very unique thing that I think not many other providers have done. We currently have 7 different providers that we work with, and all of those are independent from each other. So that brings 2 things. One, reliability in terms of different data centers. So if one goes down, it does not impact the other one. So you have some high availability benefits behind that. You also have regulatory independence. We have data centers in Geneva, we have data centers in Germany, France, UK, Singapore, and these are completely, from a regulatory landscape, independent from each other. But we try to look at alignment on both. What is the chain doing itself? Is there a benefit for us to participate to build this kind of decentralized public RPC together with them? And we do that kind of investigation. We check on the tech itself as well. Again, not to talk bad about some L1s, but some of them are built better than others. There's a lot of, because of open source, there's a lot of people or projects that decide, hey, I'm just going to take that piece of software, I'm just going to slap a couple colors and change a couple little tweaks, and there we go, we have our own chain. But we see a lot of replication over the last few years in terms of some of these chains not being pure enough. So we try to align with where both the demand is, where the technology is moving towards, and also with the alignment with the project. So normally the chains that we support, we get to know very well. We work very close with the Stellar Foundation in order to build the new RPC, public RPC, which again is very interesting because they also saw the opportunity to bring kind of smart contract technology within their chain. So we're building this public RPC. It'll be ready, I think, in about 3 weeks. And again, there's a lot of alignment around this decentralization, this ethos of saying, hey, let's build things properly. So those are the kind of projects that we tend to coordinate very well.
It's called Gateway FM. Maybe you're familiar with it, maybe you're not. But it's more news in regards to Sorbonne. Pay attention to this because Stellar is dominating the last few days. Let's go ahead and share this. This will be the last bit of coverage we have for tonight. And it's like you see on the screen here. What is this all about? Well, more in particular, it's some of the things that we're going to get down into the weeds about. You will see here kind of flew under the radar. Gateway FM blast off with Stellar Org. They built the public Sorbonne RPC infrastructure. And look what it also says, fueling DeFi and dApps on Stellar. So what I liked about it is it caught my eye when it mentioned ZK rollups. Now we know last year Polygon really stood out for ZK EVM. And now we have Sorbonne, part of this mix, building public Sorbonne RPC infrastructure for Stellar. It's a partnership with Gate FM. And when I got into it, I thought I'd share this with you guys because I didn't really see a lot of people talking about it. I've gone ahead and dropped it down to this mid part of what you see on the screen. So let's talk about this for a second. It says that Gateway FM has excellent track record in successfully managing complex technical integrations and enabling projects to deploy state-of-the-art full E2E ZK Validium or ZK rollup, all within a couple of clicks and minutes. ZK implementations offer enhanced scalability, reduced transaction costs, and improved privacy, making them valuable for Web3 and decentralized projects. To me, this is your answer when it comes to crap. What is Sorbonne through SourceSwap going to do in regards to like security, because it hasn't proven itself? It's kind of iffy. You know, everybody gets scared when something's new. Well, I want to talk about this. And if anything, I'm going to share in closing my notes. So I want to mainly get into this. We already talked about financial inclusion when it comes to Sorbonne and Stellar and so on. What is Gateway's role for the bigger picture? Great question. The public Sorbonne RPC infrastructure, Gateway FM, definitely provides free public infrastructure for developers to interact with what? Sorbonne. Make it easier to build, of course, dApps. You don't see it now, and that's okay. That's no knock on anybody. But I'm telling you flat out, once this Protocol 21 upgrade has a full rollout, and you see was 120 plus projects go live in that ecosystem, to me, that should reflect price action. But most importantly is understanding just that, an ecosystem. Back in the days with Terra Luna, you had a huge ecosystem. It only took a few projects to really help Luna take things to the next level. I also want to point out this. As we know, that was a horrible thing that Do Kwon did. But with Terra Luna, you had, for example, UST. And while that was an algorithmic stablecoin that was supposed to, you know, create a mechanism that everything flowing through this ecosystem, you will be able to consistently pay at a 1-1 ratio, and that's the utility, if you will, of Terra Luna. Understand that we are now talking about what? We're talking about Stellar, and we also understand the connection with USDC. So I am not worried about an algorithmic stablecoin failing with, of course, you know, Stellar, because for one, it's not an algorithmic stablecoin that they have. But I also understand that vibrant ecosystems contribute to utility and motion. And this is why I want to continuously talk about some of these things. So when we talk about this role of Gateway FM, you better believe that it's all about decentralization. And even though it doesn't seem like it is on the surface because of what you've seen in the past, or there's not enough going on with Stellar, you better believe by spreading the infrastructure across, for example, data centers, Gateway FM does in fact help prevent a single point of failure and promotes network stability. You know, creating mechanisms for the oh crap moments. You know, like if we're going to focus on scalability, like we're talking about the metaverse, we're talking about, you know, bank to bank money and all this stuff, and you have to be able to scale to prepare for the oh crap moment of I have to have the same user experience as Boomer F and Sooner and Tim Shea and Brian Dowie and Dingy and all you guys part of our community, right? But now magnify that by millions, maybe even billions of people. Right, you could appreciate that. But what about from the security side of things? And most importantly, single point failure. This partnership with Gateway makes sense. It does. But what about not just the significance of Gateway.fm, but of course, Stellar. So 3 key things I want to get into before we wrap this up. And that is, you better believe this is a landmark upgrade. And I think that's why Stellar highlighted. And again, it flew under the radar. Sorbonne, as we know, is considered the most significant upgrade to the Stellar network to date. Protocol 21 upgrade, aka Sorbonne. It's Web3 innovation, guys. It's going to open the door for a new wave of Web3 innovation, of course, on Stellar. But it's real-world applications. So before, Tomer Weller was talking about 50% of all real-world assets will go through Stellar. Wow, right? But now we are taking it to the next level through smart contracts. How so? Through real-world applications. That's why you have this whole thing of Axelblar, and that's why you have the whole thing about dApps, because you will see that Sorbonne definitely aligns with Stellar Development Foundation's mission of bringing blockchain tech to real-world users. Isn't that the whole point? You better believe it is. If they're providing access to the unbanked, they're also going to provide access to those who simply don't have the technology, maybe through smartphones. Remember how Stellar is doing some of this even with the old flip phones? Yeah, look it up. What about, the whole future of, back to the whole thing of Gateway? Well, you have to keep in mind it even benefits them. Web3, as we know, demand is basically rising. Gateway FM will focus on scaling its infrastructure and adding new features. They have a thing called the Presto platform. I'm not going to get into so much of that, but in a nutshell, it simplifies blockchain tech for businesses, developers, make it easy to build on top of what they have to offer without needing in-depth blockchain knowledge. And how so? Think about it. If it's 3 lines of code for Sorbonne, then you don't need to have like, oh man, I need to know Python, I need to know C++, C#, all this stuff, right? And that last part, remember I talked about ZK EVM, those rollups? For Gateway, it's their ZK tech. Gateway FM offers ZK-based solutions that provide scalability, lower costs, better privacy for blockchain projects. This is your aha moment for getting the job done for security for SourceSwap, because a lot of people are going to be like, I don't know, man, this is brand new. Is the security really, really there? So I thought I would share it with you guys. I thought it was a big deal. And if anything, wanted to get into all this. There's more info in regards to Stellar, and more importantly, the whole thing about SourceSwap and even OtterSec. I didn't want to get into that today. I might do that on another particular day, but that takes the cake for me. And if anything, I'm glad to be able to share it with you guys tonight. That will conclude the Stellar coverage. Let me know what you guys think in regards to all this in the comments. Are you excited about Stellar, Sorbonne, and more particular, are you excited about SourceSwap moving forward? Nice to see those updates and those visuals from SourceSwap. Some of you guys ask what cold storage solution I use. I use this, and it is the Decent wallet. All right. I also, of course, have a ledger like this. All right. You can get a discount basically from going into the affiliate link, which is in all the live video descriptions and recorded and so on. And for the yahoos that are out there, they're like, this is just a shield. And, we'll point this out. And it's a great point. Were you aware that you don't necessarily get a discount link just going straight to the site? No, you actually have to go through a platform like this. So how cool is that? I don't think anybody's complaining about that. But anyway, use the link, get a discount. There's another one here. If you're the type of person you want to get one for you and your significant other, you can get 2 of them. They actually have another promotion, which is this, and I think this is cool. You can get an all-in-one card wallet plus backup card package. Interesting. I thought that was cool. And again, one of the main key things I like about the Decent wallet is not having to do the red tape of jumping through all the hoops for XDC and the custom folder. I mean, Edward Vincent can vouch on that. Some of you guys can too as well in regards to Ledger. That was a pain in the butt. You don't have that problem. You literally open up your phone, it's on your app, track everything that's going on, right? And saying goes, not your keys, not your crypto. You know the drill. Check it all out though if you wish to do so. It is truly the cold storage solution that I use for the most part. There's still some on Ledger that I kind of split it up on it and so on. So it is what it is. But if I have preference over one, I'm going with this one. A lot easier to use and so on. And some people, even to this day, still ask me which one to use. Hey guys, I just want to point out something real quick in regards to Uphold with you guys. A lot of you guys are familiar with Uphold or heard about it, but if you're brand new to all this and don't have an account, basically there's some benefits. It benefits me, it benefits you. This is a win-win. But one thing I want to point out to really pound it home with Uphold is, for example, XDC. As we know, with XDC, a lot of us have to jump through the hoops of like KuCoin, use a VPN to kind of get around things. This is American-based exchange with Uphold. You don't have to do that. You can get your XDC here, and yeah, not having to deal with that is a great thing. You could also get XRP here. Again, American-based exchange. There's a refer and earn. Bottom line is, if you deposit $100, I get 20, you get 20. It's a win-win for both of us. And of course, that's in BTC, but again, you can swap that to any of these particular altcoins. Another benefit of Uphold is, unlike Coinbase, they're not going to freeze your assets at the height of a bull run. And that's a really, really good thing, right? Nobody wants that. So check it out. Links are in the description if you would like to take advantage of the 20. And yeah, a win for both of us. How cool is that? Links in the description, both on the live and on the recorded. Thanks, guys. Over and out.